Welcome back to The Link, everybody, here on midweek. And last time we spoke to our friend Mazie at Guam Windward Memorial, she was telling us that, with the services her company provides, there are better days ahead. And she joins us right now in the KUM News Zoom room. And Mazie, half a day to you, good morning. And I love that virtual background because, it really encapsulates and captures, exactly what you're all about, like as a grief counseling specialist and what your organization does.
Yeah, so hi from me and hi from Teddy. He's a little camera shy today. He's like, put me down, put me down.
Teddy's back, all right.
Good morning, happy to be here.
Well, Teddy stole the hearts and minds and bandwidth of a lot of people that were watching us on Facebook last time. Because, because you brought him in at the end and you said, he is actually an integral part of some of the services you provide, right?
Absolutely. So Teddy's only 4 months, but when he gets a little older, we're hoping to put him in some grief recovery training to be like a grief dog, a grief assistance dog. So we are really, really excited about that.
Well, can you get us up to speed now on, when the last time we spoke, you were talking about the promotion you had, and if people shared the social media video, we had the YouTube clip already and everything, and if they shared it back to you, you were going to actually brighten their day. How'd that go?
Yeah, excellent. So we have the raffle. So we're doing a total of $1,000 grocery giveaway to Cost US, and our drawing is on August 25. So there's still time to enter. And we did an interview with this for the Greater GU'd, and I think so far we had like 118 people share and 90 comments. So super cool. I talked about our grief recovery program, and we actually had several people contact me directly interested in wanting to sign up. So that's really exciting.
Well, that's good. And it's, that what that speaks to me, having done this as long as I have, is it's not just, people saying, oh, like it's a contest or I can do something and everything. I mean, there is a very established and serious need in our community, for grief counseling, because, it's so ironic that in a little micro society like we have here, where, there's such a sense of family and everything like that, when it comes to grieving or expressing like some sort of, depression, outright, remorse or loss or anything like that, that can be a very personal thing. And people more often than not can kind of like, just not really like draw upon, their community or their family or their neighborhood and everything. Is that what you see?
Yeah, absolutely. I think family is such a precious thing to us, and a lot of the times our mentality is, I don't want to share what I'm going through because I don't want to burden my family. I don't want to burden the ones that I love most. When on the opposite end, it's like, no, tell me, I want to help you. And sometimes the family environment may not be conducive to conversation. And so we just offer this as a free resource.
Now, as we talked about last time, I'd like to kind of like, reiterate this, because grief and the kind of services that you specialize in, and, you've got your certification in dealing with, grief. It's such a wide spectrum of things. And, we said last time, grief can be, my boyfriend dumped me, I failed a test, I just got fired from my job, a friend of mine, passed away, somebody I know got COVID and I'm really worried about them and everything like that. So when you approach dealing with someone in recognizing their grief and saying, this too shall pass, it is a process, and this is a known thing. How do you actually like handle that on a one-to-one basis with people?
Yeah, so that's very interesting. So first we talk about defining grief and what is grief to you. A lot of people may not realize that they're struggling with grief because it's not necessarily there's no concrete definition, right? So first we start off with what grief is to them, and then we try to identify the type of griever that they are and what their immediate circles are, just because people respond different ways. Some people internalize it, and they like to journal, they like to, think about things, or they like to do hands-on type work, and then some people like to express it. They like to let you know what they're going through. They're very open and transparent about the struggles that they're dealing with. But when you have the two different types of grievers meet, one might think that the other is insensitive. So, we want to make sure that we're identifying, hey, I'm this type of griever, this is how I handle it, and this is how I know to communicate it to my family. So identifying grief, the type of griever they are, and the ways that they grieve, and then the myths of grief. So there's a lot of misconceptions or wrong information. So we are just looking to educate them of these are the things that are true. This is normal. This is natural. And you're not alone, right? So identifying those myths, and then we also teach a little bit of coping skills.
Mazie, I wanted to get in and ask, so do you get a lot of calls or messages? Because I feel like there's, event-associated grief where you might have lost a loved one in the family, or, some other type of tragic occurrence, right? But then there's this I don't know what to call it, but maybe just pandemic-related grief, where people just in dealing with the news and the anxiety, the fear of just living under this pandemic, where they feel like a weight on them, or just a sense of loss where maybe they didn't necessarily lose anything. Or do you get a lot of people who are feeling that way coming out of this pandemic?
Oh yeah, I've had several calls dealing with that, just because it maybe is not a physical loss, but it's a loss of lifestyle. So it's the staying home, right? The not being able to see family and friends. So a lot of people will call and say, am I actually dealing with grief? And so they just are using me to confirm, and that's great, because I'm able to say, like, yes, this is what you may be experiencing, and these are some ways to deal with it.
Okay, now
So,
I have, so I totally believe in that, the recognition of is this actually grief that I'm feeling, and how much of your job, Mazie, deals with like maybe delineating between stress and grief, because we've got a podcast. It's like the premiere of our podcast where we deal with like LGBTQ issues is coming up in about 18 minutes from now on Facebook. And the panel that we've got today, they're dealing with they're sharing their coming out stories, and some of them said, I came out to my father or my mother or my siblings, or people that I know in church or their classmates, what have you, and everything like that. Can that be considered a form of grief, or would that just be more stress related? And how would you deal with, like, if somebody came up to you and said, like, I'm really going through something, I want to share who I believe I really am in this age of self-identification is so broad, but if someone came up to you like with those concerns, like, how would you counsel them?
Yeah, so stress is just one component of what grief is, and how we define grief at Guam Windward Memorial is just it's a multitude of feelings compressed into one, and so it can sometimes be conflicting emotions, such as I came out to my family and I'm relieved about that, but now I'm experiencing a distancing in relationship from them, and I'm really sad about that. So there's some sense of happiness and relief, but there's also a sense of sadness coupled with that. And so those conflicting feelings are what grief is. And I think people, we often misdiagnose grief to say that, oh, yeah, I must be feeling depression, right? And grief is what you feel internally, and then what side effects are that are externalized is what can be diagnosed as like a condition. So grief is a very internal type things.
Yeah, I like how you phrase that when you said like misdiagnosed, because do you see, and over the course of your career and dealing with so many people in so many different situations, have you ever seen, like, maybe, for lack of a better term, like false positives, and people come to you and they say, I think I've got like a real grief situation, but they just get inside their own head and they maybe make it worse for themselves? I mean, I'm not trying to take away from anything that might be going through something.
Well, I think I myself have personal experience, and so this is what makes me so passionate about this, because I really struggle with some sort of anxiety, and it's been really difficult for me. And then I went through my own kind of grief recovery process where I took this class, I met one-on-one with somebody, and it was interesting. I had originally started meeting with her because I just wanted to learn more, and then I was like, wait a minute, my anxiety is caused by all these other factors, and if I can get to the root of these factors, then it will alleviate this symptom. And it's typical that anxiety and depression kind of go hand in hand. It's very common to see those two things together. And so, just in personal experience, with medication, it helps alleviate the symptoms, but it never gets to the root of what we're experiencing. And so I am a total believer in this program, just because I've gone through it myself. I've seen the growth in just my mentality, and I think my emotional communication as well. And I think I would say, oh, I'm a pretty good communicator, but when it comes to emotions, it's a completely different story. It's hard to communicate what you're feeling if you cannot properly identify it.
How long is the program? Because I know when I was going through like a little bit of I had a depression session like the year I lost, my father and my grandfather, and I got dumped really bad. That was a rough year. And so like the only thing I could say is I just want this to be, is there a book I can read? Is there a video I can watch or something like that? Is there a pill I can pop where I can just, get back to normal? I just want this to be like through and everything like that. So, but it is a process, and that's what I learned, I can say that now. So how long is your program?
Yeah, so the first consultation is absolutely free. It goes for 6 weeks, but the rest of the 5 weeks is independent. We'll give you material, we'll follow up with you. You can always ask us questions. But the first session is about an hour and a half. And then we talk through things, we kind of identify things in your life. And then the other 5 weeks is supplemental information. And it's really great. I did this with a friend just a couple of months ago. And I will tell you, by week 7, she was a brand new woman. It was just interesting just to see, because she was like, the first week she told me, she's like, Mazie, I'm not going to get through this. I think I need to come to you for a year. And I just said, well, let's see how you feel after 6 weeks. Let's see where we are from there, and then we can move forward. And what makes this different from counseling is that this is specifically hands-on. So there's worksheets, there's exercises for you to do, there's things for you to reflect upon, so that each week we can gauge a little bit of growth.
That's the important thing to remember, right? If you want to really get through this, you have to put in work. A lot of the time it's just not going to go away.
Yeah, I actually had another friend that I was helping, and I was like, okay, well, let's talk about this and let's do this. And the first exercise, in 10 minutes, she realized, she's like, everything that I'm dealing with now stems from something that I experienced in the 3rd grade. So she was like, I'm mind blown. So it's a pretty interesting thing. And then, I gave her supplemental, like, okay, this is some homework for you to do. And the homework is hard. It's tough. When I had to do my own homework, I cried through a lot of it. A lot of it was hard to face, but, you do it and you go through it. And there will be some people that say, I'm just not ready for the homework. I do not want to do it. And we can't force them. We just meet them where they're at and leave that door open to say, okay, when you're willing and ready to talk, when you're willing to embrace what you're going through now, that's when we can move forward. But until then, we're not going to force anybody.
Yeah, and of course, again, it is a process, and you do have to go through like a series of steps, and you do have to make the effort if you want to get well. But how much truth do you put behind that, age-old cliche about, time heals all wounds? Is that part of the process too?
Zero.
Okay.
We put zero truth behind that. It's kind of like, okay, well, time doesn't heal. You can have a wound that's infected, and if you leave it to fester, then it just becomes more infected and can cause other problems.
That's a great point. That's also gross, but that's a great point.
Yeah, a lot. So the healing process takes time, but you must go through the healing process, and it's not time itself. A lot of the times people think that, and that's actually one of the myths that we address is time heals all wounds. And if we don't address things, and that's like with anything else in our lives. So it's so interesting, because there's no other area that we would say if something's broken, time will fix it, or if something's damaged, time will fix it. But we just as human nature apply that to our emotional health, and that's absolutely an incorrect statement.
Thank you for that. No, now my mind is blown, as you were saying for like your friend earlier. No, that was very, very revelatory.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm letting that one sink in.
And
I'm gonna make that the title of his
healing-
YouTube clip, by the way. Mazie says from Guam Windward Memorial, time does not heal all wounds. So go see her.
It was actually really interesting because I was talking one-on-one with a doctor, and she had mentioned, Mazie, maybe as time moves on, things maybe get easier, but it is not healed. And she was telling me, she goes, our bodies are amazing. So if you have a broken arm and you have broken your arm, your bone can heal itself, but it does not mean that it's set right. And she was telling me, sometimes when you're talking to someone about the grief that you're going through or the depression that you're feeling, that person has to come in and re-break those bones to set it properly. And that process of healing is just as painful.
Okay, now you got me cringing when you said like, you have to break bones again.
So Jay, you got to break your heart again.
Oh boy,
Somebody got to shatter your heart.
You mean I gotta get dumped again to get over this?
You'd be like, I've been through this before. This is nothing.
Chris, why won't you call me back?
Yeah, so it's just definitely an interesting process, and it does take commitment.
Wow, that was very, very good. Okay, so now we've gone through so much and everything, and we really want people, now that you've said you stand ready for them and everything like that, to have the opportunity to get in contact with you and everything like that. So how can people reach you if they've got questions or if they do really feel inside like they have a need?
Yeah, definitely. So you can go ahead and message our Facebook page. I will respond to those messages. It's just Guam Windward Memorial on Facebook. You can search us. Actually, this weekend, this coming Saturday, we will be at the farmers market. We'll have a Guam Windward booth set up from 5 to 10. And we'll have a sign-up sheet if you're interested. We're also hosting a lunch and learn on August 14, and that's a free lunch, and we're having it 3 squares. We love 3 squares.
Nice, us too.
So if you were interested in learning more about the grieving process and planning ahead, you can see us at the farmers market. You can message our Facebook, or you can give me a call, and my number is 688-6371.
All right, and I don't think you're doing a very good job of covering up the fact that you're actually showing that food and healing like go hand in hand here on Guam.
Yeah.
Farmers market and 3 squares. I'm there.
And it's interesting because sometimes people are a little bit hesitant to come if it's just one-on-one, but when it's in a group setting and it's relaxed and they can realize, oh, well, maybe this person has the same questions that I have, it's a lot more conducive to conversation.
Well, you're very easy to discuss with here. I mean, we're talking live on Facebook and in Zoom and everything like that, but of course, if anybody out there is in need, if you're feeling a little bit hesitant, a little bit scared, just please give Mazie a call. She's really going to take care of you, and it's your nature. You are a very compassionate person, and like that. Your people are going to get better with your help.
Yes.
Okay, and can we get a shot of Teddy one more time? That's our new that's our new running thing here. Before we let you go, having a nice fluffy dog is also very conducive to the healing process.
All right.
There we go. Video
Here
bomb.
He is the star of the show. Hi, Daddy.
He's a ginger.
He is. He is. And that's completely fine with me because my husband is Scottish, so it runs in our blood.
Yay. Well, Mazie, thank you so much.
Hey, when you get upstaged by a wonderful dog like that, that's no problem at all. So thank you, Mazie. We'll see you real soon. And that was another episode of The Greater Good, everybody, who was brought to you by your friends at J. Goodman. Of course, you saw they dropped off a wonderful donation here for our promotion. J. Goodman is a happiness company. And, of course, Mazie and her team at Guam Windward Memorial, where they celebrate life. J. Goodman has quality products, the best customer support, and friendly service. You can order 24 hours a day at guamgoodman.com. In-person pickup, you guys, and Guam delivery are absolutely free. Order with confidence because it is the J. Goodman way. And Mazie and her team at Guam Windward Memorial, because love is everlasting. For more information or a schedule, she just gave you her phone number. Call 688-6371. We are back with more Link right after this.
Get through the work.
The KUAM Care Force presents The Greater GU'd every Wednesday on The Link. This special feature presents interesting and informative interviews with community leaders and organization representatives to bring awareness to our residents and encourage participation in planned activities to celebrate. The Greater GU'd is brought to you by your friends at J. Goodman, a happiness company, and Guam Windward Memorial. Celebrate life.
After a year with so many games and events delayed or unplayed, the world is ready for anything and everything in the world of sports. KUAM Communications is ready with